All right, y'all, so let's talk about this. So, Lady Chann had Radio Raheem as a guest on her show. And they basically was talking about the Deontay Wilder situation. Now, I watched the video, and I had to kind of, at some point, I had to kind of go forward a little bit, slide back just to see, because I was kind of pressed for time. And I want to give my take on what both of them were talking about, like what they were saying. I agree with points that both of them made. I have said a lot of what Lady Chann has said many times in the past about Deontay. And there are some things that a lot of times people don't fully understand. Okay? And I'll get into that right now. So, Radio Raheem basically is telling her, which I agree with, Wilder doesn't have to answer the questions. Like, you can say whatever you want. She doesn't have to just like answer the questions a certain way just because, you know, he's on Simon Jordan's show or because he's in a different country or whatever. Like, and I agree. I've never been a politically correct person. I don't believe in that bullshit either. And I don't believe in this whole, you know, situation of, you know, a person asking you questions that you don't want to answer, right? And this is why I said, for me to interview people, I only want to talk about what they want to talk about. But this is why I could not sit here and interview a motherfucker that I know is lying. This is my whole point. Now, and I have proof that you're lying. Not just because I don't believe this. It's never about what I want to believe. It's about what the facts are. And when we got the facts and the proof of things coming out of your mouth, then no, you couldn't sit there and talk to me and I play dumb and let you say all this shit knowing that you're lying. Okay, now, I'll stand on what I said. Wilder had every right to get up and walk off. Hell, Derek Chisora also got up and walked off. Okay, and he's the opponent. And he told you not to bring it up, right? Okay. See, the thing is this, and Wilder also has the right to talk about whatever he want to talk about to whoever. Like, I don't want to talk about it with him, but I will talk about it with him. Okay. Now, the thing in that, though, is now you change the whole dynamic of saying, I don't want to talk about it. Because what you're basically saying, and it doesn't matter if you're black or white. If Wilder knows you don't believe his side of the story, then he don't want to talk about it to that person, regardless to what color you are. Okay, and the problem with that, like I said, it changed the whole dynamic of your motive now. It explains your motive, because what you're doing is this. I don't care if you're black or white. I only want to talk about this to people that's on my side about it. That's going to let me say what I say, regardless to what the information, what the proof is. Just let me say what I say and then bow their head like they agree with me. Now, I will say this too, because Radio Raheem was, you know, they were all over the place, really. They was just saying a whole lot of things back and forth. Now, let me say, you see the thumbnail says Lady Chann versus Radio Raheem, but this was not like I'm bitter, I'm angry at you. No, it wasn't that. But they were both standing in their grounds and they were going back and forth. And Radio Raheem, you know, in his defense of what he said, he even told Lady Chann that, you know, hell, Wilder even screamed at me like I was an Uncle Tom or something. And it's funny, I just saw this video today, and I brought that up several times in the past. Like I said, sometimes you got to just reiterate things because people, they forget. And a lot of times you got different people that's watching. Like, every time you get views on your videos, it's not always the same exact people. You get people that's watching your video for the first time that don't know what happened, you know, or don't know like what you know, where you are coming from with what you're saying in your video. So yeah, and I agree with that. Like, yeah, yeah, he had every right to get up and walk off. But the problem with Wilder is the fact that, like I said, it's I only want to talk about it to people that's going to let me say what I want to say. So when you say, I don't want to bring that up, that's old news, I'll move past that. But then we see you talking about it on other channels, then no, it's not old news that you went past. It's just the fact, like I said, you don't want people to say anything and bring up facts. Because like if somebody, I'm going to tell you, if somebody sit there, if they interview Wilder and they just pull up their phone and pull up him saying what he didn't say, saying the very things that he claimed he didn't say. What defense does he have? Now let's move the goalpost and complain about something else, and then you're gonna get up and walk off again, right? So what I'm saying, that right there is like, that's hypocritical. Now, Lady Chann is saying, oh, and let me say this. Let me tell you something. My family is mixed, and I've been to a lot of places. I can't tell you what a whole country is like on a day-to-day because I visit a resort in 2 weeks, for 2 weeks or something like that. I can tell you what I saw and what I feel from what I saw. But when you like on the back roads, especially when you go to a country and they're telling you stay together, stay off the back roads, and don't go anywhere with any strangers, don't isolate yourselves. Okay, why are they telling you that? Okay, because there's things there. I told y'all what happened when I went to Cancun, Mexico, right? Me and my family, and what they tried to do, right? Yeah. Anyway, but there's a lot of things. I've been to a lot of places, and I have family, I have friends from different places, and they tell me what the fuck is going on. They send video clips to everything. So one thing I can tell you though, black people, there's no black people on this planet that gets disrespected and hate from their own fucking country like black Americans do. And you can watch the news, you can listen to songs, you can hear people talk, but until you're here, and your mind, because when you don't live here, you don't wake up thinking about here every day. You don't wake up to our lifestyle. So when you hear things, I hear, like, for example, I hear people say things like, there's racism. I've heard several people. It's like, it's racism in the UK, but not like in the States. It's different. Like, example, if a British guy, a white British guy is fighting a black American, the black Brits are even cheering for that white Brit to win. Okay? In America, if a black American is fighting against a German, a Russian, a Swedish guy, a Polish guy, another guy with white skin, okay, a white Brit, the white Americans is cheering for the guy that looks for the white guy. And this is like consistently. So yeah, of course you got certain fighters that have white fans too, yeah. But what I'm saying is, most people, most of the 90-something% of the time is going for their countrymen. America's not like that. And believe me, it's far more. You live in this motherfucker, and you live in our neighborhoods and our streets, and you see, like, okay, it's not what I thought. Believe me, a lot of times people think they know, and you have no idea. Now, Lady Chann, the things she said that I agree with, and I've been telling you this, when she says Wilder constantly talking about white privilege. Now, I don't give a fuck that Simon Jordan is British. He's a bit of an asshole. And he's always running his mouth with very strongly opinionated. And it's like, he's a lot like Wilder in a lot of ways. And it's like when people talk and talk like their opinions is facts, but they don't have facts. Okay, even like him swearing that there's no way that little Usyk beats Big Wilder. It's a good little man versus a big, and just, like there's nothing Usyk could do. Like, there's no way Usyk wins. It's impossible. Right? Now, anybody can say that. But that's what I mean about when you have such a strong opinion like what you just said is factual, right? And then nobody can but then when it happens, we can't just say the better man won. We got to find an excuse. Like Wilder. Okay. Now, when she says the fact that Wilder's always come with the white privilege thing, right? Every time, right? I've been telling y'all this. It's only when Wilder has a fucking fight coming up, right? Now, even though he's fighting a black guy this time, and I'm gonna tell you, that's the problem with black people, is that even though we're all black, most of us don't see each other as the same, because we're not born in the same place. We're not from the same place. It's all about my people, or whatever, right? Where we're from. Shit. But yeah, I've been telling y'all that. It's like, it's Black History Month. Say something to your people for Black History Month. It's always, he talk about white privilege, but it's always him. And he's only saying it to white people that don't agree with him. So even through your tough times, that's when you encourage and try to uplift your people. So outside of you having a fight, we don't hear a peep out of you about Black History Month. See, this is what I'm talking about. So how else does he or anybody expect people to look at him when they understand that? And Lady Chann sees that. She understands that. You understand what I'm saying? And Radio Raheem, in his words, can't remember word for what he was saying, but he's trying to get the understanding of her, because like what she was saying, him playing the victim, right? He does play the victim. Now, in terms of the Simon Jordan situation, if whatever, Simon, whatever the fuck, when he tells you, I don't want to talk about it, and you decide you want to talk about it anyway, like fuck what you talk, I want to bring it up anyway, well, now you have a problem. And see, it's why I said to you, my questions would be different. The interview would be different. Excuse me, because let's talk about the here and now. Let's not even dig into, because I can't sit here in front of you, right across you, next to you, that knowing damn well I know what I heard come out of your damn mouth, and you're going to sit here and tell me and my viewing audience that you never said it. I don't give a fuck, Wilder, whoever it is. Any motherfucker. All right? Any motherfucker. And I can't do that. So let's just keep it about boxing. Let's keep it about Wilder and Derek Chisora. You understand what I'm saying? But Simon Jordan, the problem with his interview too is because he did this interview with an agenda. You can't overlook him saying, I tried to get a hold of him 3 years ago and I didn't get it. Right. So you've been holding on to these questions for 3 fucking years. Okay? Or as long as we heard him say the things that he said. And that's the whole thing. It's like, I wanted you on here so I could say what I want to say. It's not going to change anything. Right? Wilder's delusion is going to go with him to his fucking grave. Okay? And what happened. Nothing's going to change. Fury's not going to jail because of this. You understand what I mean? Regardless to what Wilder or any of his fans say, it's just something that happened, and that Wilder is going to have to just find a way to get over it. The other side too, when you are doing an interview, right? And I agree with what Radio Raheem said. You have to know what's enough. See, and this is what I tell you as well. A lot of times interviewers ask the same dumbass questions, and it's just, I just want the interview, but we're not going to talk about anything that we didn't already hear you say on 25 other channels. And to me, it's just like, all right, cool. Do you need to watch everybody's interview when you know that you're going to hear the same thing? So no, what's going to be different about your interview, than the ones that everybody else already get? So what can change that is the topic of your video, the title of your video, because maybe you didn't talk about certain things on those other channels. Otherwise, I know I'm not sitting up here watching all these different videos. No, once I hear what's said, if I get clarity from one video, then I have no reason to sit and watch the same interview on other channels. Okay. Now, case in point, when she also, Lady Chann says, yeah, let me say that. When Lady Chann tells him, your whole team is white. This is exactly what I've been saying. Him making claims about Anthony Joshua buck dancing for the white man, but yet Shelly Finkel and Eddie Hearn play the same role. So in other words, he's buck dancing for Eddie Hearn and you're buck dancing for Eddie Finkel. I'm just this Finkel guy. I don't see a team of black people. And the only guy you fired was JD's. And your good brother Malik Scott and you just parted ways. So I don't care if you got another black trainer, it doesn't matter. You made claims about another black man, but yet, and on top of that, let's not forget, Deontay Wilder went over there, okay, after calling Eddie Hearn a liar, yo, he full of shit. They say one thing and do something. No, he can't be trusted. He's a snake in the grass, all of that. And then you went over there and got promoted by that same white man. So Lady Chann scored hard with that shit because it's facts. Now, I don't know if she said that. That's me saying that as far as the Eddie Hearn part. He did that, but her saying he's always playing the victim, whatever. Now, with the Simon Jordan situation, it's not about anybody being a victim. Simon definitely wasn't. He was a victim of his own stupidity, Simon. But as far as Wilder, from the very beginning, when you made the deal with Fury, you chose the white man, and I'm saying it again. You chose to do business with the white man over the black man, who was Anthony Joshua, which you guys would have fought for undisputed as well. But he gonna tell you it was different because Eddie Hearn and them did. No, Eddie Hearn and them did not fucking duck you no type of way. All right, we done talked about this for years. That we know the particulars. The problem was you had a big ego, and you thought you were a bigger star than AJ. And even like with the $120 million that we know DAZN offered you, you stood there right next to Shelly Finkel, and Shelly Finkel said the reason that y'all didn't take that fight was because you know this fight is easily a $300 million, $400 million fight or something like that, and y'all wanted 50-50, and so $120 million basically wasn't enough for y'all. And that was one fight with Dominic Brazil and 2 fights with AJ. And y'all turned that shit down. And that's why you in the position now with all the shortcomings that you've had, okay, with your personal stuff that you still out here trying to fight, okay, at a washed up state. You and Derek Chisora. Now, you look at all of that and you think about it. Him making all of those claims, and then every time you turn around later down the line, everywhere I go to fight, everybody wants to see is me and Anthony Joshua. You want to fight him in Africa, you want to do this, you want to do, I mean, it's always something. You get knocked, you get beat up by Joseph Parker, and then you go and do an interview the next day and say, I'm thinking we still fighting, as if you're being cheated. Yes, every fight. I mean, we done went from ayahuasca to cryo chambers to, it was always a freaking excuse. But again, Champ didn't say that. Somehow we all just heard something, but it wasn't Deontay. It didn't come. No, no. We were all under a spell and thought we heard that. So yes, he plays the victim all the time. Now, the problem and the thing is, after he got beat by Fury, he got beat 2 more times, and he's done absolutely nothing impressive, nothing that shows I belong back in that title picture. Hey, my skills improved. No, he's not going to do that at this age. He's at the end of his career. Okay, but Wilder has built this thing where outside of his fans, and see, this is the thing, when you got people around you or people, your little fans that don't want to tell you the truth, you will never improve on anything because you will always think, I'm not wrong. It's everybody else around me. Those motherfuckers need to change, not me. So, you know, my thing is this, man. I'm not into the debates and the back and forth. So I'm not into that shit at all. You know, I'm more into a conversation, a discussion. I don't need that shit. It does nothing. You know, but they had their conversation and they both made points that I agree with. Okay, and reality though is this. Regardless to what Deontay Wilder is saying, he can't say, I move past this, I move forward, and you're making a documentary and a movie about it. I mean, that makes 0 sense. That's this. Man, listen, I don't even want to talk about that girl. She knows she ain't shit. She know what she did. I know what she did. I'm good. I moved on. You know what I'm saying? Let's talk about something else. And anyway, she the one cheated on me. You know what I'm saying? I was good to that bitch. I was more than good to her. And so for her to even do that, and I mean, even like, if you remember that, I thought you said we was moving on. You're still talking about that same exact shit. And that's what Wilder is doing. So yeah, and I feel like that point that she made especially was like spot on. Now, I'm gonna watch it again too, just because I like I said, after a while, I don't know how long it was. I was watching it for a minute, and then I was pressed for time, and I had to let me kind of like slide forward a little bit. Let me. So I'll go back to see if there's anything that I missed. Don't know if I'm gonna make a video about it or whatever, but I'm telling you guys right now, when it comes to, you know, what you say and do, and people gotta remember, man, this is the look. We can watch everything. We can see, go back and, oh, I never said that. I never did that. You know what I'm saying? There's a whole lot of things that you have to understand when you can't just accept the fact that you lost, when you can't just accept the fact that things didn't go your way, the better man won. and then say no excuses, but they make excuses. This has been a pattern. And let's just be real. After this Derek Chisora fight, it doesn't matter that he wins. Deontay Wilder is well past his prime anyway, and no matter what Wilder does, he's not a factor anymore. If he loses, then nobody's even talking about this shit 6 months from now. It's like, okay, he did what he did. He got his ass whooped, and why are we still talking about Wilder? Do you understand what I'm saying? It'll be more that type of situation. So regardless, what happened, and nobody can change that. But I thought it was interesting that they were talking about what they were talking about. But yeah, Simon Jordan, man, he's a bit of a jerk, man. So I get that. But yeah, man, like for sure, this whole Wilder playing the victim, Wilder always making up excuses. Nobody in their right mind can you can disagree all you want, but the proof is here. The proof is there. So every time somebody tries to come to his defense, you make yourself look foolish. Sticking up for somebody and all we gotta do is push play and let you listen, and then you have that same dumb look on your face. Did you ever see when Wilder talks and he starts closing his eyes and that little weird looking smile he does? Does that look like a sane person to you? Don't that like a person that try to convince themselves to believe what they're saying? He does weird things, and I'm telling you, the dude is not right in the head, man. He's always talking about mental health issues. So if I say he has mental health issues, anybody else, and you go, no, he don't, well, tell him to stop saying it then. It's that simple. What comes out of your mouth, you're held accountable for. Simple. Anyway, if y'all didn't see it, go check it out. But I'll tell you what, Wilder better really understand all this. I'm over Fury. I'm over it. I'm moving forward. I'm past it. And then talking about it. Now you making a movie and a documentary. Other than you making some money off of these two projects, what justice is actually going to be done? And that's the question I asked before. And that's the question I'm asking now. Talk to me in the comment section. That's all I got for y'all now. At the end of the day, I said what I said.